Hi everybody. We don't have a foggiest clue of what happened there. Serious internet connection. Just decided that it was going to go down, and been playing around trying to get it correct. We're going to bring Madam Fix It back on again because she was just talking some amazing stuff. So I'm quite absolutely very upset about our internet. I really don't know what was going on. I'm just waiting for her to send me a request to join because I don't know what's going on with mine at the moment. Everybody's coming back. Thank you everyone for coming back. I do I do apologize for the break in transmission, but we're kind of, yes, so we're bringing her back on again. Okay, sorry, I have
Hi.
no idea what happened there. The connection just completely went, and it didn't want to come back on again. So sorry for the delay. It's one of the unfortunate problems that we seem to have in this Nigeria with our connection, and they are charging an absolute fortune for my internet, and they can't even give me a
Oh
good service.
no.
So I'm assuming that's what it was. And I normally have my phone as backup. That wasn't working either. So I don't know whether it was a phone issue or it was a Wi-Fi issue. So for those that are joining again, we do apologize for the break-in transmission. We're with Funke Ade-Ojo from Precision Events, aka Madam Fix It, and she's been talking about luxurious events, and we were right in the middle of talking about whether she's a micromanager or she can let things go. So if you don't the past, and when you have people that you think are good or vendors that are good, do you just leave them and let them get on with it, or do you see yourself as a micromanager and have to take care of everything? And in particular, I wanted to know what were your challenges. What are the challenges? Because you spoke about having clients that had a fortune, open checkbook, flew you to Dubai, had caviar. You understand? So you are living the life of Riley. You only did like maybe 4 or 6 events a year. So, and you are making more than those of us that were doing 100 events a year.
Amen.
So,
Amen. Amen. Amen.
but there'll always be that sweet. So break it down for us, please.
I
What
think
are the challenges?
the challenges would be time. Just like their own biggest challenge is time. I think my challenge would also be time because remember, once they pay, every good planner knows that once your client pays you, they own you, literally.
Right.
So for the
Mm-hmm.
month in which we're working on a project,
Mm-hmm.
I become highly obsessive about
Mm-hmm.
that particular job. It
Right.
totally consumes you. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
time for anybody or anything else. So in that, if it's a 3-month contract, oh gosh, your poor family. So it literally is, I think the biggest challenge is being able, in that period where you have that job, is being able to balance everything else out. Because in those times, your husband has needs, you're still a wife. You don't stop being a wife because you're an event planner. You don't stop being
Right.
a mother because you're an event planner. And I
Mm-hmm.
run quite a few businesses. It's not just the event company. So,
Right.
but in those periods where I have such high luxury exclusive events, they literally take over my entire human being. And that balancing that out sometimes can be a bit of a challenge. Yeah. I think another challenge would be people. I would say people is a huge challenge because at the level at which your clients, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Hello? Is the network off? Can everybody do a high five if they can hear me? I don't know. Can you hear me? Okay, they can hear me. Seems like you might be having a problem, but they can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm just going to
Definitely
continue then,
continue.
since everyone else can hear me.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can
so
hear
I think one of the other challenges is with people at the when you take on luxury events, like the client is not just expecting excellence from just you, the
you.
face of the brand. The client is expecting excellence across your entire value chain. And sometimes it's a challenge getting people that will understand the level of detail that our type of events demand. You know, if you're just doing any mainstream type event, you can let some things go. You can forgive some things. But when a client has paid quite a lot of money and expects everything, and rightfully so, you can't let balls drop. You can't drop balls. You can't give them mediocre services. You can't give them half measures. They literally expect the heaven and the earth, and you have to give it to them. And sometimes I've found it's difficult finding the right team that understands this level of detail and understands that the client is not being difficult. The client is not asking for too much. The client is within their rights to make those demands. And our job is to make sure that we are able to satisfy those demands, no matter how difficult and no matter how inconvenient it is. So I think sometimes finding the people that understand this level of detail and this level of excellence and being able to go the extra mile, that can be quite a task.
So, can you hear me, Funke? Just
Yes,
checking you
yes,
can
yes, I
hear me.
can.
Okay,
Yes, I can.
fantastic. You can hear me. I mean, I could hear you before, so I don't know what was going on,
Okay.
but I could definitely hear you before. So, you talk about um how do I put it? You talk about what a luxury event is in terms of it's the experience, it's catering to their needs, it's doing going out to being exclusive and so on and so forth. Okay, I want to ask you this question, all right, which is this: break it down for me, yeah,
Okay.
the
Okay.
difference between an ordinary event versus a luxury event. Are you going to be, what
Um,
is the difference between an
yes.
ordinary event versus the luxury event? Because there's some people that will say they do ordinary events, and as far as they are concerned, they are luxury events.
Hmm. I think that for me, the major difference is the level of personalization and the level of customization that goes into the event. And I really give it to Nigeria. I think Nigeria, as an event industry in Nigeria, my goodness, I would say many of our weddings, many of our events in Nigeria are actually luxury events. Because the level of customization that goes to even a standard event, might not get it in any other part of, like, my sister is an event planner in the UK, and some of the details that we give them in Nigeria, or in Lagos, should I say, some of the personalized details we give them in Lagos are standard. In the UK, clients have to pay for as personalized services.
Yeah.
So I think in Nigeria we do actually do well with luxury events, but we just need to go even that bit further. I think the major difference for me would be detail, the attention to detail. So you would get in every event a photo backdrop. That's because in Nigeria, that in Lagos, that has become standard. In
Yeah.
Lagos, you would get canapes. That has become standard. In Lagos, you would have champagne, you have prosecco. That's standard. In Lagos, you would have a ceiling with a full floral installation. You would even get, I don't know, some kind of diamond-looking coming from the ceiling. Those are luxury elements. But I think the attention, what makes it true luxury is the Swarovski that was coming from the ceiling, for example, I've had a client that said to me, she loved the idea, the design brief of having a floral and she wanted diamonds coming from the ceiling, but she didn't like the idea of it being plastic. I don't even know what they call those things. You know, those plastic, those diamond looking plastic effect things? She wanted it to be Swarovski. Every stone in the ceiling had to be Swarovski. That's the difference.
Serious?
So you can have leather and you can have pleather. You can have fox fur, and then you can have the real fur. You can have so there's always, you know, with China, there's always the imitation, and then there's always the real. So in Nigeria, we've really mastered the art of making it look very luxurious and very beautiful. But I think the next level for certain clients is it's not just looking that way, but it actually being real, close up and personal.
Okay. So you have a lot of event planners here or people that are in the industry. What advice would you give to them if they wanted to get into set luxury events or setting up luxurious events? What are the things that you advise them to do and the things not to do? Because I'm sure you've gone through those things that, God, if only I had known, I would never have done this. So what are the things, the pros and the cons? What are the things one should do and the things that one should not do?
I think one of the major things what we need to do, one of the things you would need to do, maybe where you might not have had to do for your normal mainstream events, is you need to better study the client. The understanding of the clients for luxury events is rather deep. There's quite a lot of research that has to go into that client. So you're going to have to understand who they are. What's their occupation? What books do they read? What kind of music do they like? What kind of food do they like? How do they dress? Where do they shop?
Seriously, what is going on tonight? Can you still hear?
The client, because luxury clients don't necessarily have time to tell you every detail you require to execute a brief. I think that's a major difference. A lot of luxury clients just expect you to know. And for you to know, you're going to have to do a lot of research into that particular type of client. So for example, when I'm working with certain companies and they invite me, like yesterday, a company reached out to me. They want me to send them my company profile. They want to sign me up on a retainer. And they wanted me to send my information to them yesterday. And I said to him, I need to get back to you next week. And he says, no, it's urgent. I need it now. And I said, do you want me to send you my company profile? In the meantime, I can send you my company profile. But if you want a proper proposal, it's going to take me a few days. And why that is important is because I know the caliber of this particular type of organization. But I only know them from a distance. I don't know their nitty-gritty insights. How they communicate. Do they call each other by name? Is it a first name organization, or is it a Mr., Sir, Madam organization? Are they a very casual, relaxed organization, or are they very formal? I want to see how their reception is dressed up. Do they use fresh flowers, or do they have no flowers at all? Do they have air conditioning?
The problem is from me.
Where do their staff eat? Like, I want to know all the details about that organization, because by sitting at an organization's reception hall, you learn so much about the culture about that organization. I'm going to do research online to see who are their clients, who are their customers, what big accounts have they won, how do they communicate, what kind of media do they use for communication, what is their digital footprint, achievements of their CEO or their COO. Basically, I have to do a lot of research to understand the person I'm talking to, so that by the time you're then sending in your proposal, honestly, I say this with every sense of humility, but I have never submitted a proposal to a corporate organization that I have not won their account. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to refuse me. Because at the points in which I'm engaging with you, I know you. I know what you want. I know who you are. I know how you want it served. So if that's coming into this space, it's not business as normally going to stretch yourself to get into the minds of these clients. You almost have to know what they want even before they themselves know they want it. Because you have such a deep understanding of who they are. And you know, everybody's aspirational, no matter how wealthy you are, no matter how, if you're a multi-billionaire or multi-trillionaire, everybody aspires. There's always somebody on top of you. There's always somebody ahead of you. So if I know this, what I'm going to be proposing to them must help them aspire to even that next level. And for me to be able to make sure that what I'm proposing to them aspires to the next level, I must first of all understand this level that they're at. That really makes all the difference.
Okay, so what's the most challenging event that you ever had to handle, and why was it challenging?
I would say the most challenging one, let me say why it was challenging. Okay, well, we had an event once I think this was in December. And this was one of my most I literally had to put on a brave face. The event was due to start at 6 p.m. The red carpet was meant to start at 6 p.m. And at 5 p.m., I got a call from home that my children were in a car accident. And I was like, wow. What do you mean? And they said they've been involved in a car accident. And on that day, unfortunately for me, the nanny wasn't in the car. At that point, I just called their dad, told them they'd been in a car accident. I can't talk. I'm at an event, and I switched off my phone. So it wasn't so much that it was a challenge, that planning the event was a challenge, but as a professional, as a true professional, once you have a job, your private business, nothing else matters. You shut it all out. And I walked into that venue with a huge smile on my face. I had to manage every single detail as if nothing had happened. The client, I have no right, it's not my place to go and inform the client that, sorry, sir, sorry, ma, my children have been in a car accident. Can you give me 1 hour to go and come back? You can't do that. As a professional, things go wrong, and you still have to keep your game face. You still have to give them 120%. They must never know what has gone wrong. You have to bear it all. And that's one of the resilience level, the grit. I think the grit, that's one of the key success factors for any really good event planner. You must have a lot of resilience and a lot of grit, because there's going to be so much thrown at you at the same time. But guess what? Your clients cannot know about it. Your game face has to be on. You still have to deliver.
I'm sure a lot of, particularly women listening to you now, would find it difficult to agree with what you're saying, that you hear that your children were involved in an accident and that you put, and I'm kind of just being troublesome here, so just bear that in mind. You put your event before your children. How or why would you do that? Would somebody else not see that as irresponsible? Would the client who accepted that not be irresponsible? Why would you say that the event is so important to you that you would do that? We're trying to enter your head now. What is your thinking behind that?
My thinking is, a moms and pops organization, when they're trusting you with millions and millions of naira, it's because they can go to sleep knowing that their events and absolutely everything will go right with that event. Now, if my company was so mature and I had such a team that I could walk away for 2-3 hours and come back, and I would be absolutely certain that the event would still be very seamless, I might maybe take that risk. But even in my contract, it's written in my contract, I only take on one job a day. I never have two jobs. So in my contract, I have committed to the client that I personally will be at their event, the entire event. And as a professional, that client did not sign up for stories. I'm sorry, that client does not care what has gone wrong in your home. Just like if you are boarding an aeroplane, God forbid, and the pilot is told 15 minutes before takeoff that something has happened at home. And imagine they come and announce on the tannoy that, ladies and gentlemen, we have to delay this flight by 1 hour. The pilot just was informed that his children have been involved in a car accident, and right now we need to swap pilots. Or even worse still, they swap pilots. They are not make the announcement and then say the pilot is going to fly you to your destination. Even before, while they are making the announcement, I want to come off that airplane, because in my mind, I feel like he's not going to be able to concentrate. So when challenges come, we are paid we have to learn to compartmentalize these things. Work is work, home is home, face the job that you've been paid to do, and then go back home. And if you have the right support system at home, by God's grace, they would face that whatever those challenges are at home. But you cannot, I don't believe in mixing government and religion. I don't believe in mixing private business with work. They're two separate things.
Okay. Fee Oluwa says, Madam Fix It, you had mentioned earlier of going an extra mile to serve your client. What do you do if the particular client did not pay for your flight to Dubai and he referred you and they are the same caliber? I'm not quite sure I get the last bit. I'm trying to dissect it. What do you do if the particular client did not pay for your client for your flight to Dubai, but he then referred you and they are the same caliber? I think what they're trying to say here is that if they didn't pay you, but they gave you a referral instead, would you accept that as a good trade-off? Would you say that was fine? And I think the second part to that is when you mentioned it to the client and they didn't ever offer to pay you for the flight and return the money, would you have just let it go? How would you have handled it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Remember when you see, as Nigerians, as a people, we need to get to the place where we do things without expectations. Because a lot of the disappointments, a lot of the bitterness, a lot of the hurts, a lot of disappointment comes because we always expect something back. As a person, I think I have matured and grown to the point where what I do for people or organizations, clients, family, friends, I do it with very little expectation of getting anything in return. So when I flew to Dubai to satisfy that client, I didn't do it with the mindset that he would refund me. No, I did it because for me, I saw it as a major success factor to that particular event. It just so happened that he did give the refund, but that wasn't my mindset. And guess what? The way life works, the way karma works, the way the universe operates is when you treat people with that pure level of purity, most times anyway, I have found that you get rewarded. Even though it's not what you're seeking, you actually do get rewarded. So even if he had not refunded me and he had maybe referred me to another job, all well and good. But my expectation, when I went into it, I didn't go into it expecting anything back. That was just an icing on the cake.
Okay. Man. I think I want to move away from show production into luxurious events, and my team is on board. I think as of tomorrow, we are moving into a new sphere because the kind of money that you people are making is amazing. Helen of Troy says, have you ever had to refuse a client? For example, if the client is wealthy but has poor taste, so you're offering them luxury, but they can't be bothered.
I have certainly, I remember I said earlier, I turn down more jobs than I accept. And I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with that. My business manager is not okay with that. My bank manager is not okay with that. But as Madam Fix-It, I am very okay with that. Because not every client is my client. For me, it's never about, how do you say it? You can have all the money. You know, there's new money. You can have all the money and be willing to pay and sign all the checks, but you can't buy pedigree. So there are certain things I need to be able to, there's a certain level of levity, there's a certain level of trust, there's a certain level of free hand that I would need the client to be able to give me. And that really does come into play when I decide to sign a particular client on. I need to be sure, at least to the best of my ability, that client that I'm about to sign on will allow my creativity and my excellence and all of that come to play. And not just be asking me to rent the most expensive chairs just because they're the most expensive chairs. The most expensive chairs might not be right for you. Or you tell me to order lobster on your menu just because you heard lobster is the most expensive seafood. Lobster might not be the right fit for the theme of that particular event. So I need to be sure that the clients understand what will work and what won't work, and don't feel the pressure of just asking us to do things because it sounds like the in thing to do.
So Finn Oluwa says this. Okay. So if you turn away more clients than you accept, as a business, how do you make a profit?
Oh, you always make a profit. I always make a profit. Because not every job is your job. You see, I don't want to be...
She just said that, though. It's like... when you hear Madam Fix-It, that's like, sorry, Finn Oluwa, I am paraphrasing what she is saying in her mind. I'm saying it openly. She's trying to say to you that, what kind of silly question is that? Me, I make money. Do you understand the kind of money I make? I make silly money, crazy money. How do I make a profit?
No. And that's why... No. You see, that's another thing is, you see, in this life, we have to always stay on our own lane. Be very content on our own lane. Let's not try and get on any... You see, I run quite a few businesses. And because there's, you have 12 months in a year, and not every month in the year is event month. There are some months that we have peak periods, we have troughs, we have ups and we have downs. So the way my portfolio of businesses are structured is, where events are low, I'm actually paying a lot more attention to other types of business. I'm doing a lot of real estate. So at the end of the day, you are always happy. Your bank manager is always happy, but not necessarily that the money is all coming from events per se. But the reason I say I turn down events is because I know I'm not good for all events. And there are people that are better suited to those events. So if I know that certain types of events are not events that I'm going to necessarily be good at doing, then and because people trust me, I would very honestly, do you mind if I refer you to somebody else that I feel would better execute that particular event? But then because of my relationship with you, I will consult on your behalf. So when I make a referral, I don't just make a referral and walk away. Most times I'll make a referral and I'll still be checking in to be sure that that event is going accordingly. I don't get paid for doing that. I just do that because it's the right thing to do. But I'm not, as Madam Fitz at Precision Events, we're not going to be good for every single client. It's just not possible.
So Helen of Troy, I think she actually answered your question, because Helen's question was, how do you refuse these kind of clients without offending them? You've actually answered that. So Finyolowa says, how do you handle clients that are sticking with the budget and then later come back to ask you for some elements not in the budget, but they're insisting they want it, but it's not, they can't afford to pay extra or don't want to pay extra?
Oh, that's easy. That's your contract. You know, people are saying that COVID-19 has brought about, now need structure, you now need contracts. You needed contracts before COVID-19. Every single event we execute comes with a contract. And that contract, all the terms and conditions are spelled out. But you know that you cannot spell out every single, you can't foresee all the scenarios. So we always have a clause that just a blanket clause to say out of budget expenses, either travel, additional requirements, numbers, even the numbers. So when we sign the contract is always based on a number. Say that, for example, the client says, I have a guest for 300, I have an event for 300 guests. Once that number changes from 300 to 400, I have a clause in the contract that subsequently after the event, you will pay the difference, or even before the event, you pay the difference. So once it's all written in, and so there is a clause in there that we call out of budget expenses, supplementary budgets. And again, once the client signs the dotted line, we then go back to reclaim. And again, because of the nature of the clients you're working for, you really don't want to be policing them for those monies necessarily upfront. You have to be intelligent about it. There are some clients that you can just trust that they will always pay. And then there are some clients that you might feel, they might be a bit riskier. So I'm going to try and make sure that I get them to foot the bill before the event so that there's no chasing or running around after the event. But really, all of that is covered in your contract. It should be covered in your contract.
So, I mean, you talk about contract, because one of the things that I found very difficult, and one of the things that I hear from a lot of people,
I feel like I'm online, but are you offline again, Mr. Ibadi?
I can hear you.
Can everyone hear me, or is it Mr. Ibadi?
I can hear you loudly.
Okay.
You're struggling to hear me? I can hear you.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you, but I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. Well, if you can hear me, then I can see you and hear you. So let's just continue. So as I was talking about contracts just now, one of the things that people always struggle with is contracts, in the sense that you go to a client, you give them your terms and conditions, and they don't want to sign the contract, or they dilly-dally, and they do everything that they can do not to sign the contract. How does somebody not as experienced as you, because this is not about you, because I know your answer will be sign it or I'm not doing. But someone that's possibly new into the business, somebody that doesn't have that power that you have, how do they manage that situation?
They walk away. A client that will not sign a contract. You see, we can't be busy for the sake of being busy, because you're working yourself into a trap. If somebody is in a contract, even before the major project, that is a red flag. It's like saying you are dating somebody and the guy is being rude to you or disrespecting you, and you are still saying, well, I want to be in a relationship, so let me just go ahead and hope for the best. And then he gives you a little bit of a slap over here and a little bit of a slap over there, and then you say, oh, well, I want to be in a relationship. No, sister, respect yourself. He's giving you red flags, and those are red flags. You walk away. Every event should have a client should sign a contract.
Okay, I'm going to be real with you. I think it's very easy for you to see this, because, as you are walking from one contract, as you are walking away from one contract, possibly 3 more phone calls or calls. I'm somebody that possibly I am begging for a job. I'm desperate for a job. I can hardly find any job. This client came. It's possibly going to be one of the biggest jobs I might ever have. And you are telling me to walk away. Is that really sound advice? Does that really work? How would that benefit me as a new company or a progressing company?
So maybe what you can then try is maybe see how you can renegotiate the contract. You know, a contract is a two-way document. A contract is not a contract that it just benefits you. It's a contract that basically lays out the expectations of both parties. So if there are particular clauses that are sticky points for the clients, then you ask yourself, in terms of risk, am I comfortable with taking this part out or taking that part? It might not be that you get everything you want, but I would say get a contract, absolutely. But if you see that the client is just not even willing to sign anything that looks like a contract, period, okay, then is the client at least willing to pay you up front? Because if the client doesn't pay you up front, then are you running a business, or is it a hobby? Is it just something is this just a hobby for you? Because how are you going to be protected? So for example, if the client has absolutely refused to sign the contract and is not willing to sign the contract, but is willing to at least pay you up front, then at least you have some protection. But in my opinion, now the client is not protected anymore, because the client has now paid money and has no contract to protect himself. But if you both say you're okay with doing the business without a contract, and you're both mutually okay with that, and maybe at least you have emails, maybe there's an email thread or a WhatsApp thread, something in writing to show what has been agreed by two parties. It might not be one that you would execute with a signature, but are there some written things that you can fall back on that spell out what both parties' expectations are and what has been agreed to?
Okay, this is the last bit I want to harp on about this point. Okay, so we've spoken about when you're new, up and coming, and there's issues about contracts. How do you handle situations when you have a major bank who gives you a job? So you go through competitive tendering, you get the job, they agree what the cost specification is, but they're refusing to sign a contract. Because as far as they are concerned, they are a bank, they're a big boys, they're refusing a contract. Would you walk away, or what would you advise other people to do?
Okay, so actually, that's actually a very good question. So sometimes in that situation, maybe ask for an award letter, because you want to know you're engaged. So in this situation, what you're saying is it's a big bank. They have said they want to use your services, and you're dedicating a project team to that particular client, right?
Yes. And as you know, with the big clients, you've worked with them before. Their jobs can be 6 months in the planning, but
yes,
they tend to just release you money maybe a month before the event. They refuse to give you upfront payment. They're going to give you money a month before the event. How do you handle those situations? And they won't give you a contract.
Oh, that's the standard. Corporate organizations, if you're used to working with corporates, that is almost their standard. They are very last minute.
I know it, but
I
don't want people to. I want you to explain to the people listening.
So when you're working with a corporate organization, say you're working with an oil company or a bank, insurance company, the tendency is for them to sign you on. They have like a whole list of requirements you have to fulfill. They will ask for your profile. They'll ask for your CAC documentation. Blah 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 blah. They ask for quite a lot, an arm and a leg. And they want to know that you are also financially yourself stable to manage the large funds that over time they will release to you. So with a corporate organization, I find that it's not even my shakara. They are the ones that are calling the shots in anything. They have the biggest risk. That's the major difference with a social event and a corporate event. They are more at risk at my default than I am at them. So once I have passed through their vendor management stage and I've been signed on, with corporate events, they hardly would they pay you at the beginning of the project. Most times they'll pay you maybe 2 months before, 6 weeks before, a month before. You are required to have funds of your own to fund that particular project.
That's right.
So you need to be buoyant. It's not like a birthday and then they pay you X amount of millions. You yourself must have funds to run that particular event. And then they sometimes, if you're lucky, they will pay you a month before. Sometimes they will pay you 30 days after. Sometimes they'll pay you 45 days after. And when you are very, very unfortunate, they will pay you 90 days after. And you must have very deep pockets. So I'm very risk averse. I don't like loans. I don't know. That's just a personal. I don't like any credit. I don't like any form of credit. Anything I can't pay cash for, I can't afford in my mind. So I don't take loans. So the company always has to be able to manage and fund these projects. But I found with corporate organizations, the defaults from my experience is very little. It's very little. Where you begin to have problems is, did you not meet their standard? Did you drop certain balls? Did you fail in certain aspects? And then what you will then find is they'll start negotiating with you. Where they are due to pay you 1 naira, they'll try and pay you 50 kobo. But most times, if you want to be honest, it's because something went wrong. So at that point, again, that's why it's really important to have good relationships. Really. And that's why I said, when you once a client pays you, they own you. I can jump as high, I can go to any length for my clients, because when you have such problems where maybe a vendor messed you up, or an entertainer didn't come on time, or something went wrong, that goodwill, you need that goodwill from the clients, because they have seen how you have far above and beyond before now. And then when there's a lapse, they are more willing to forgive you because they know that it is out of character. So I don't really know that they would not know money just to be wicked, or just because they're being reckless or irresponsible. Most times there is a reason for it. And based on your relationship with them, you can then negotiate with them and see how both of you can meet each other halfway, so that there's a win-win. Because really, corporate organizations hate changing planners. They absolutely hate it. They detest it because it takes them too long a new planner. So as much as possible, they try to retain their existing planner. So once you are lucky enough to get signed by an organization, you can be almost rest assured they will keep you. And you really need to earn your keep and earn your position.
That's right.
But they will try and I find that they will try and be reasonable. They will try to be reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely right there. And one last piece of advice I want to give people on that one as well, around what Madame Fixit said about being buoyant, particularly for those of you that are looking to work with corporate clients. Because I hear a lot of people say, I want a corporate client, I want a corporate client. It's not that easy. A lot of the clients, we do big events, and and you're talking about 100 million plus in terms of turnover, what's going to be spent. Some clients will request that you do an insurance policy of the total budget that has been agreed.
Yeah.
And they are not releasing money for you to go and pay for that. And it's normally 10%. So if you're getting a contract worth 150 million, you will pay 1.5 million naira to the insurance company. You go and pay that your money up front yourself, or send the certificate. And then they will now start doing business with you. And that certificate basically says that if you run away with the money, they will go to the insurers, and then the insurers will pursue you. So guys, please bear these things in mind, because I hear a lot of people say, oh, let me do corporate. It's not as easy as you think it is. And their demands are, you don't even want to think about what their demands are like. And you have about 20 people all demanding things with you. Lola Divine Event says, do all your vendors have contracts for your clients? What do you do if the vendors don't have contracts?
Oh, no, they don't. When we run in the UK, when we run our events in the UK, our UK office insists that every single vendor, every caterer, every usher, they insist on it. Hence, I don't go to the UK a lot to do their events. They manage their events on their own. Here in Lagos, Nigeria, I don't require contracts from every single vendor we work with. So we subcontract those vendors. When I work with a vendor, when I go through the vendor selection process, it's rather tedious. We are rather strict on our vendor management, vendor sign up. But once we have identified our preferred vendors and we've signed them up, I don't require contracts for them. It's because we keep them because we know that they're tried and tested and they've been able to meet. So maybe my very first event, I might have a contract. But what I do is I don't sign a separate contract. What we will do is we would actually, when we're sending our terms to them, it's not a contract. It's just an email to say, these are our expectations, these are our services, this is how we want your staff to conduct themselves. Basically, and then we now include our call times, our service times, and then the last paragraph would put some kind of a penalty clause, to say, if peradventure your staff steals, there's any misdemeanor, any misconduct, bad behavior, blah, 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 a certain amount will be deducted. But then I find we don't do it for this time. And then beyond that first time, the risk is on me. The risk is on me to make sure that myself and my team have done the jobs properly. We don't require a contract from every single one of them, no.
You talk about having a blanket clause that covers number of guests.
But can I ask you, Mr. Oyebade, how do you do it? Do you require contracts from all your vendors?
No, I'm very much like you. Yes, we have. I think we operate the same way. Number one, we have preferred clients, preferred vendors that we use. Because of our particular job, we don't do as much changing as you, because we do sound, we do lights, we do stage construction. You understand? We tend to subcontract out, not all the time, but some of the time, other parts of the work to other vendors, and we tend to use the same vendors over and over again. But what we do when we set up our WhatsApp group, we make it very clear in the WhatsApp group that if anybody fails to attend the debriefing meeting, if they don't do the job to the required specification, if their staff are not neat and tidy, professional, we state there and then that we will do deductions. And we ask everybody to acknowledge it. So that if they cannot agree to it at the outset, then we pull them out of the event. But we make it very clear to all of them, and all of our vendors that we work with. You home, I'm calling my vendor and saying, I need them off my site, health and safety, because as you know, Madam Fix It, when you deal with corporate, they are this liability, that liability, and I don't want to be making unnecessary insurance claims to cover anything. So that, I think we're very much on par. We do it very much similar. What I've also found out with contracts, and I know I shouldn't be saying this, but I found that contracts really are a waste of time, because if someone breaches the contract, are you prepared to go to court and deal with them? I found it easier to say that we will deduct your money and the justice is instant. She's gone. All right, so I've lost Madam Fix It. I'm going to try and get her back. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's been going with internet today. It's just been crazy. And this is such a good conversation that we're having here. I know we got lost the first time. I'm going to see if she comes back on again. We're going to round up very soon, because I know it's been a very long session. The network is really bad. But I just don't want to end it with her just disappearing like that, because I mean, she's been such a fantastic guest, and it's been brilliant. We've been talking about luxury events. Somehow we've moved into corporate events. We've looked at the whole scenario. I mean, it's been pretty crazy with the network. I just don't understand our network. I don't know if it's mine or it's not. I've tried 3 different networks. Can you imagine today? And all of them are messing up. So I don't know if it's a phone issue, if it's a network issue. I know that rainy season doesn't help us anymore. I'm sure Madam Fix It is having the same problem I was having, which is trying to get to log back in again. But I mean, she's been an absolutely fantastic guest. She's talked about what it's like to do in luxurious events. I mean, I want to get into luxurious events, because this open check, I'm being flown to Dubai just to go and buy caviar, and knowing that you can just literally do whatever you want, fine. But on the more serious side, it's not as easy as it sounds doing luxurious events, because any of you that know that you have a rich uncle, or you know you have a boss that is a high net worth individual, HNI, you know those guys, they don't play. When they ask for something, they expect you to give it to them. They want it delivered there and then. So it's been a fantastic session. I think it's fair to say we're not going to bring her back again because it's been a very long evening. Guys, we'd like to thank you all for coming on board. I don't think we're going to be able to show the first part of it because it just cut off, which is a real shame because we did some fantastic things. But what I'm going to do is we're trying to bring Madam Fix It on again later on. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being with us. Yes, girl, as always, you miss coming on so late as normal. But it's been fantastic. We appreciate all of you. Fini Oliwa, thank you so much. You said the session was very insightful. We'd like to thank Madam Fix It as well. Please do your thumbs up, wave at her, love hearts, everything, so that you can. Modest Jaw. Helen is saying, stop being modest. You already do luxury. Is that aimed at us, Helen? Helen of Troy. Are you saying we already do luxury? Anyway, I'm not sure if that was aimed at us, but anyway, I'm not sure. But if it was, thank you. If it wasn't, I don't know who you're talking about. But it's been a brilliant session. I thank you for your support. Mahogany True Talk, we like to give it to you as it is. So please join us. We get the best in the industry to come and talk to us, give us the insights as to how things work. And what I like about this show is a lot of people have been giving us the truth. They've been telling us the truth about how things really, really work in their industry, which has been beneficial. Oh, you're talking about us, Helen. Thank you so much. I didn't know you were talking about us. Well, my team, they say we do luxury. Maybe I see things differently. But anyway, thank you so much. So please join us again next week. We're going to have another great guest next week, giving you insights into the business. And sometimes if you see guests that don't directly relate to your field, doesn't mean you shouldn't watch, because there's some tips and hints that they can give you that could benefit your business. All right. So guys, please join us next week. Thursday, join us for Fashion Finance Africa, the chat room. We're going to have another great guest. Everybody, I'm wishing you all a fantastic evening. Please stay safe. COVID is real. Be careful. Social distancing. Wear your mask. And we'll see you soon. Good night. Your love means so much to me.